Okay, so really this is done. You can leave it just as it is, or you can go in and add more decoration. So I'm just going around the guard and adjusting how these pieces meet together. It looks weird to me, so I'm just trying to fix it. Okay. You can do whatever you want with this area. So you can either press crystals into it, like I did with this one, or you can etch a design into it, which you can do now, or if you want to, you can do afterwards, you know, after the baking. It's much easier to do it now, but it can be done afterwards. You can like add little snakes of clay, really thin ones to make a design, or you can just kind of etch into it a little bit. I'll do just like a little outline. You can use a needle tool for this too, if you want. Just gonna... It's a little hard because I keep wanting to pull it closer to me, but if I do, it'll be out of the camera. So I'm just gonna like etch a little, just a little outline of a rectangle. Nothing crazy. You can go crazy, but so let's see, just that. And then just make sure the top is level. And that way it stays, and you want to just make sure it stays defined from the blade. Don't let it get squished into it or anything. You want it to be two separate pieces. So I'm going to do the same thing on the other side. And just and just a little square, a rectangle, nothing too crazy. Okay, just like the other side. Now, with your handle, there's a lot you can do with that too. So, with this one, I just took this tool here and just kind of picked a spot, pressed it down like this, and then just rotate it and pressed it and rotated it, and then that keeps it lined up perfectly. And what you do is you can just, once you've got the initial line in it, you can either keep spinning it until it gets deeper, or once you've got the line going all the way around, then you can just come in and just press it like this. And then you just do that all the way down, if that's the look you want. You could really press any design. Like if you don't want it to go horizontal, you could press it diagonally. So let's show you. See, it just keeps going lower. When you first start, try not to push too hard. Just push lightly, just enough to get the indent there, and then go back and deepen it later. Don't try to do it all in one go, because you're more than likely just going to squish something. Like make your blade uglier than it already is, or... So that's how that turned out. See it? And if you want them not to be so wide apart, you can start another spiral in between and just do the same thing you did. And just pull it. And it should end up in the middle all the way down. Okay. Do as many or as little as you want, and make them as shallow or as deep as you want. You can also, if you want, you could also buy 1/8 inch or 3mm ribbon, and you can wrap it with that. I did that on another sword and it looks really nice to just wrap it with a little narrow ribbon. Get something that has like a metallic thread in it or something, and it really looks pretty nice. And that one also has that loop at the bottom that I was talking about, so that you can hang something from it. Okay, so that's how that's looking. I think that looks pretty nice. And if you want to smooth it out, just go back to this again. Or if you want your lines not to look so harsh, doing this will soften your marks. And if you wanted to squish it in some, if you think it's too wide, you can just add a little bit more pressure. So if I wanted to narrow towards this pommel, just squeeze it a little bit more, and you see, I think you can see it start to narrow a bit, hopefully. And you could do the same thing at this end too, just squeeze it a little bit, or put the side, you see how my thumb is like a little sideways on it, and the side of your thumb will kind of push it in. And then just make sure when you rotate it all the way around, so you don't end up with one side kind of beveled in and the other side not. Okay. So I don't like how this little, still don't like this up here for some reason. So what it might be is I think I might just need to add something in here. So I'm gonna just probably take this and cut another little piece. I have another one for the back. If I can pull them apart. Actually, I can probably just use one for both. I'm gonna put it like slightly on the bead. It's sticking to it, so just gonna tuck it in. On the sides. Make sure you support it. Okay. I think that looks a little bit better with it just being wider. I still have to make it, you know, look nicer, but I think just adding a little bit wider of a look in here makes it look less strange to me. Just blend that in a little. I'm not going to mess with it too much yet until I get the other side on, so I can make sure I do the same thing on both the front and the back. Okay. Flip it over and do the same thing. Try to make sure they're, look at the side and try to make sure they're in the same spot. That's what we've got. Okay, so I'm going to leave it at that for now and show you about placing crystals. Okay, so I did work on this a little bit more. I needed to go off camera so I could actually put it closer to my face so I could see what I was doing. I moved the camera a little bit, so it should be a little easier for me to put it closer to me and still show what I'm doing. So see, I just refine the design a little bit. I think I like it like this now. Just added some little lines and details to this area. And you pretty much just do whatever you want. And once you're happy with it, then you can decorate it. Now I'm gonna add some little crystals to it. You don't have to. You just want to give it a little bit like this one. Just a little bit of fancy. If you don't want yours to have it, then that's fine. You can just leave this step out. Or if you don't have hot fix crystals, you can just get regular ones and glue them on later. If you would rather decorate with clay, you could do that too. Just, you know, just, well, do what you do. You could add little balls of clay in spots and then paint them different colors later. If you don't want to buy crystals at all, you could make it look like rivets. It's all up to what you want to do. So this is still unbaked. We haven't done that yet. So I'm gonna use these two. So they're the biggest ones. So I'm gonna stick them like right here maybe. And you can move them around a little bit to decide exactly where you want it. And then once you got it, since these are hot fix and they already have a glue on the back, all I have to do is then just make sure I hold this so that I don't squish anything. And I'm gonna just flip this tool over and press it in a little bit. Not a lot, just enough for it to not fall out until this is baked. Once the sword is baked, it'll when the sword's baking, it'll just activate the glue on the back of the crystals and they'll be set. That's that. And these little blue ones, they're bigger than I wanted, so I'm not really sure where I'm gonna put them. Because I think that's bigger than I would like. So, and what the heck am I gonna do? Really, I could leave it like this. You know, you don't need to put a whole lot unless you want to. How much or how little is entirely up to you. If you wanted anything in the blade itself, you have to wait, because right now it still looks a hot mess and we need to be able to sand that. So if there's anything that you think you might want to, you know, refine a little bit more with sanding, then it's better to hold off on your embellishing until after. But I know down here is pretty much good to go. Any work I'm gonna do is up here, so nah, I think these are too big. I'm just putting it across my tissue blade because I don't want to lay it down and let it get flat again. So I'm just gonna get a few of these. Come on. And I'm gonna put them somewhere in here, or maybe even down here. This other end is actually pretty good too if you want to flip them over. There we go. I like to do 4 when I put them all the way around. I like to try to do 4. So you can see here, I did 4 all the way around, and I did the same thing down here. I think instead of putting it to the middle, I'll put it like to the side, like this. Just press it lightly until I make sure that I like it. Yep, I think I like that. That way they're not all just in a row straight underneath of each other. Just makes it a little different. And just press it in enough to stick. Flip it over. And did I get it? Oh. Wait, where the heck did it go? Come on, you. Here we go. Press it on there. You can move them around until you get it in the right spot and press. This one for the bottom. When you put one at the bottom, you can look at it to see if you like how it looks on its own. If you don't, you can take another little snake of clay and put around the base of it to make like a little bezel. But if you don't want to do that, you can just stick it on there like that. And since this one is, the clay is pretty flush, I think it looks better. This one I had to put that little bezel around it because it kind of sat up a little, because there was kind of like a ball of clay on the end to cover up where the wire still was a little exposed. But since I made sure this one was nice and flush, don't have that problem. So I could leave it like this, and that's plenty enough. I'm just going to take this tool again. This is the same one I had before. And I just want to press my little diagonal lines back in. I'm going to spin it too. I just want to start each line. Okay. I had it against my finger, it's almost like completely obliterated. So it's a good idea just to go back and check on all your lines before you get ready to bake it, because that is the next step. And you can do it so that it's not perfect if you want. Like, you can have some that are wider than others. Depends on the look you're going for. There we go. That's better. So before you bake, just make sure everything is straight. Everything is how you want. You got all the detail in that you wanted to get in while the clay is still raw. I mean, if you change your mind later, you could always add on. That's not a big deal. But if there's anything you don't want there, it's easier to get rid of it now. So make sure you like your crystal placement if you used any, or whatever it is you happen to use. Make sure you like it. And then I'm going to go ahead and bake it. I'm going to bake mine at 275 degrees Fahrenheit for about 15 minutes. It's thin, so that's really all that it'll need. It doesn't need the full half hour. You can bake it for the full half hour and it won't hurt it, so you don't have to worry about that. It won't over bake or anything. But that'll do it, I think. So making double sure everything is straight. Everything is how I want it. And I think that's it. Besides this blade, which is the next thing, whoa, we're gonna take care of. So I'm gonna go bake this, and then we'll be back to finish up.